Do we have a quorum? Is that-
Quorum. Chair Fawcett,
Yeah.
Vice Chair Bedard. Here. Commissioner Morris, Commissioner Carter. Here. Commissioner Crane.
Present.
You have a quorum.
And for the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any public comments on items not on the agenda? Freddie, you're the public. You're the public, unless there's anybody online. Any public comments on items not on the agenda?
We don't take virtual comments anymore.
Yes,
Makes it easier.
items for consideration, minutes. We have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second,
I second.
take a vote.
Chair Fawcett,
Yes, yes.
Vice Chair Bedard. Commissioner Crane,
Yes.
Commissioner Carter. Commissioner Morris. Motion passes.
Next item on the agenda is potential improvements to the library ad hoc subcommittee.
Yeah. Okay. Oh boy, here goes. Is it on? No, it is on?
Yes.
Go ahead and slide mode. It doesn't seem on. There. Julie and I are part of a library commission subcommittee, reporting to the city council. We put together a presentation that hopefully, we can review tonight and move forward with, to go to the different stakeholders and to get ready for a study session to be held. The goal of the discussion tonight, or of this presentation, is that the city council receive, consider, and approve the library commission's proposal for the use of NCLA funds towards a remodeling of the main library. It's important to maintain this goal, or to keep this goal in mind as I go through this. Much of it has to do, almost all of it has to do with the use of the NCLA funds and what we're recommending. That is our goal. This seems like a lot of resources, but each of these are available online as part of this report, and each of these were looked at by Julie and myself as part of this report. The big things are the assessment done in 2008, the summary of findings and recommendation in 2018, and the subsequent architectural feasibility study that was done in 2018. And finally, the Santa Clara County Library Strategic Plan, the district strategic plan through 2028. With that, I'm just not going to go through all of them, but it's just a wealth of information, including the history of the Los Altos Library by Marian Abel, which was done as a report back in the 80s for the San Jose State Library Program that I've made available. You know, we need to look at our history here. The library's been around since 1914. I believe we were one of the first libraries in the district.
What was the date again?
1914.
Really?
Yes, people don't know this, but the library is probably older than, and the commission itself is older than many of the institutions in this city. And here we have a picture from 1966, the last remodel. Well, it wasn't the last remodel, but we're gonna get a hat for Rose, that's all I can say. The second picture lets you see, you can see the far wall of the building as it was then. And a lot of it, you can see that main beam, it really hasn't changed. that much. Well, it has, but we've been around. Next. All right, so some stats. Some good, some bad. This is like an animated slide. So first off, we're number one. So hit the first thing, number one, bring that one in there. And the reason we're number one is sort of inauspicious. It's not really good, but I think we're number one because we are the ones that had the last major remodel in 1990. So that's not a, you know, out of the 7 libraries, we're definitely the eldest. The Maine is number 2. Well, in square footage, we're number 6. So not only are we old, but we lag in square footage. Campbell, I believe Campbell is just slightly, no, Morgan Hill's slightly bigger than us. Campbell remains the smallest library, even with the remodel, but we're number 6. Circulation. Meanwhile, in terms of circulation and gate count, we're number 4. The main library alone is number 4 of all the libraries. If you look even in terms of circulation, we may be as high as number 3. If you look at, theoretically, Saratoga took some of the Campbell offset. But the bottom line here is this. Our facilities are old, our square footage lacks, and we're kicking ass on circulation and gate count. We see about 800 plus people walk through the library a day. I think you can hit the next.
You're talking about just
thing.
the main library?
Just the main library. 825 people visit daily. If I do the simple math, Woodland would bring us to about 1,000 people daily. Just under, I think 960 or something. So think about that for a minute. Okay, we live in a town that's talking about doing a theater. We live in a town that's built a beautiful civic center, but we have a library that's handling about 1,000 people a day and growing. I mean, it hasn't stopped. I think we're all in agreement that with the pandemic ending, things have really picked up. Keep going. Circulation's up 39% year to year in Los Altos at the main library. Which, so, you know, another indication that people are getting back into it. I see, you know, families walking out with bags of books every day. It's beautiful. And, but we've definitely increased post-pandemic. Keep going. All right. So I'm going to go through monies here, and I know different groups are here to represent themselves. I know FOL, not really, but the idea is just to give a scope, not an exact count. So in our estimation, we believe there's about 13 million available for remodel today. Breaking that down, approximately 10 million in NCLA funds, plus or minus. It could be 13, it could be 10. We could have issues, but 10 million is a safe number. Moving forward. 1 million from the Friends of the Library has been committed to any shovel-ready project that we have out there. So, you know, approximately 1 million from the Friends of the Library, maybe a little more, but conservatively 1 million. Lolly. I'm just going to put it out there, 2 million from the building fund. There may be more, it may be different, but what I wanted to show is that the available funding aggregate is somewhere in the $13 million range. Let's move forward. Okay, this is our overall recommendation, and let's go with it. We don't believe, and Julie can, you know, say it, that we don't have enough funds to rebuild. The 2018 architectural study looked at doing rebuilds, and I believe it was in the $40 million range. This civic center is in the $40 million range, or was, which means it would probably put us in the 60. But so, you know, this is a hard thing to put out there, but I think somebody has to call it for what it is. And we just don't have the funds to rebuild a new library today. And I thought it was important we say that. there are enough funds to remodel if we focus. And I want to really be clear on that. We have the funds where we can do a remodel to do what we need to do, but we have to focus. And then finally, we have 3 proposals. And I'm going to turn it over to Julie at this point, and she's going to go over the 3 proposals. They're not all inclusive, but it's something we've put together.
Thank you. So on the next slide, you'll see 3 proposals that we've put together. We'll go through each one of these individually. And I want to begin by saying, we're not saying that every bullet point on this list needs to be in that proposal. As you'll see at the end, we're going to make a recommendation that these at least be something considered by an architect in terms of feasibility and cost. But we thought we'd start with putting together these proposals. So if we go to the next slide. Because some people like visuals, we thought we'd give people a picture about what we're talking about initially. So proposal 1, you can see that there is a circle, and we're trying to focus here on reconfiguring and enlarging the lobby. And again, there's a number of things here. We'll go through each one of those. We've tried to highlight the areas so that you can see the possibilities. Again, none of these are written in stone. It's just these are possibilities for consideration. So on the next slide, you can see the first thing. Drum roll. Building anticipation. Okay, so the first thing is to reconfigure and enlarge the lobby. And throughout our presentation, we felt it very important to make sure that we were focusing on what had already been discussed in the 2008 and the 2018 study. And so this is actually item number 31 in the 2008 study. They identified the opportunity to reconfigure and enlarge the lobby to accommodate traffic flows, activities, and services. So on the left-hand side, you'll see an existing picture of our lobby. I think we took that fairly recently. And on the left-hand side, I don't recall exactly where this is from, but it's just a suggestion. It's just a picture of a possibility where we more fully utilize the space for our activities. So that's one of the first ones. Oh, and the star at the top indicates that aligns with one of the county's strategic initiatives. So the second one is to install a family bathroom. Sorry. On the left-hand side, you'll see the current configuration. And on the right-hand side, you see pictures of family restrooms in the back. I believe that's Cupertino, or at least an old picture of Cupertino. And this is item number 28 in the 2008 study, to have a family restroom in the children's space. If you go to the next slide. Item number 32 of the 2008 study was to address the circulation and reference desk. On the left-hand side, you see the current configuration. According to the study, it's oriented 180 degrees away from the primary public entrance. There's inadequate signage. And the concern is that people don't know where it is, and there's space that could be utilized for other things. So a suggestion is on the right-hand side, and that is providing one area for both information circulation and those sorts of activities. You know, we have talked to some of the librarians, some of them feel differently about that, but you know, again, it's just an opportunity to explore perhaps a better use of space. If we go to the next slide. Item number 36 of the 2008 study was to move the children's area entrance to enable direct access. So on the left-hand side, we have the doors propped open. That is an ADA concern. They're propped open to accommodate entrance. On the right-hand side is an example of a space for the kids' entrance, which is closer to the front entrance. It doesn't need to look like this, Cupertino, you walk down a hallway, right? So I think there are opportunities to reconsider where that is. I remember talking once to Bryant, and the idea is that with the doors propped open, there's a lot of sound that comes into the main space. And so the thought is that closing that off could quiet the area for patrons. Next. The 2008 study also talked about shelving for self-service holds. So on the left-hand side, we've done an amazing job of finding a space for all of those holds. It's amazing how many people rely on this service. And we thought there could be, as you see on the right-hand side, a little better space for people to go. What was interesting is in the 2008 study, they said that the self-service holds is at capacity with even the top and bottom shelves in use. And you can see we're still there. So they recommended an increase in shelving, and we would do that too. The next item was items 46 and 47 of the 2008 study. Spaces needed for an ongoing book sale. It's highly visible. On the left-hand side, it takes up a lot of floor space, and I think it could be better positioned for people to go down, much more like a bookstore, but maybe taking up less floor space, but also, I think, better designed. So it's an opportunity.
There is a little out of date, I think, one on the left.
Yeah, we had different pictures. On the next one, ongoing improvements on the left-hand side, remediate inadequate wiring. So in the 2008 study, item number 25 says electrical outlet access is needed at most, if not all, public seats. And we are still there. We are using extension cords. I think there is a concern with regard to that. On the right-hand side, we would also want to improve accessibility to ensure, for example, that those certain items are reachable by people who have mobility issues. And so those are all of those for the first proposal. The second proposal is proposal 1+, so you can see a much bigger circle. And there should be writing on the side. And there's not. So let's stay with proposal 2. Which do we have?
You just got lagged. There it is. That's
Oh, okay. Okay. So proposal 2 is a remodel to support limited extended hour space, to evaluate and consolidate staff areas and friend space to improve efficiency, to create an acoustic quiet zone, and to evaluate and redeploy library digital needs in computing, printing, and scanning. So the picture on the right is simply to denote the fact that, from my experience, and I think, you tell me if I'm wrong, to enable the use of open access, we do need to have line of sight to some areas. So what that looks like, I don't know. It could be, it could be lower stacks, it could not be, but something that would facilitate line of sight. Again, the quiet reading area was item number 18 in the 2008 study, where they really wanted an enclosed space or alcove for adults to have a truly quiet reading space. And then there was also a mention, I will make a plug for the second staff restroom is needed to accommodate the number of staff that we have in the building. The 2018 study also spoke about the need to provide sufficient acoustic separation so that we could have both quiet and active areas. So that is our proposal 2. And if we go to proposal 3, it's a much bigger proposal. So it is 1 and 2+. We go to the next space. Our proposal is to remodel to support full extended hour space throughout the library, and to create an opening between the children's space and the orchard room to expand the usable space. So the 2008 study, item number 29, actually talked about movable wall partitions with acoustical properties in the large program rooms. The top picture that you see is simply an example of a movable wall. And what that could do is that could actually enable the orchard room to be used when there's no program scheduled. So kids could access that, and if we had mobile furniture, it could make the space larger and more usable. And the lower picture is simply an example of a devoted tech space in the library. So if we go to the next one, you'll see the three proposals together. Proposal 1, adding on proposal 2 and proposal 3. If you go to the next slide, our proposed timeline is that the city council approves the recommendation, that the NCLA approved, then it goes, well, first of all, it starts here tonight. We want everybody here's approval or support for moving this forward. We would take it to the city council, who we hope would approve the recommendation. The NCLA then approves the recommendation. And finally, the city issues an RFP to hire an architect to draw preliminary plans. So all we're talking about here is to have an architect draw preliminary plans. Somebody with their skill set can come in and can say some of the things that we proposed won't work, some of the things that we proposed will work. So this is not written in stone. These are really just suggestions as a starting off point. Obviously, they work very closely with the county, with the library, with this group, and with the other groups. So it's just a starting point for us to figure out how much we could get done. And we are open to questions.
Could I have one more?
Of course.
So in the packet is also a library study FAQ. I went out of my way to make it 6 pages only. And it should have everything you need to know about the library ecosystem, but on the back sheet, everything that Julie went through is tied to the actual needs assessment or the strategic plan. So it's there for reference. It's within your packet. Yeah, it's right after this presentation.
Can I have it?
Sure.
And we worked very hard to make sure that all of the answers to the questions were grounded in some set of facts. So we didn't make anything up. We tried, we did on every answer put in information that was available elsewhere. So this is nothing that we created or made up. So we hope that those questions and answers provide factual information. That was our goal.
Questions?
I'm impressed, very impressed. I think it looks like a really good proposal. Well, I'm the one who is. Anybody?
No, say what you just said, for the record.
I'm impressed. I think it's a marvelous proposal. The remodel is way overdue. It really needs to be done. When you look at the other libraries in the county and how much traffic we have in our own libraries, the 2 of them. And I think you just did a fabulous job. Thank you.
I would agree with Carol. I think it's a very comprehensive report. There's some, you've got all the statistics in there to back up the need for the remodel. Michelle?
I feel exactly the same way. I thought that it was a fantastic proposal. It was so comprehensive and very thorough. So thank you for putting that together. One question I have is, would it be within the existing space, the remodeling?
Yes. Okay. Wasn't there something in the report about way to add space a little? Then going to two levels over the parking area and stuff. Wasn't there something somewhere in one of these reports about the possibility of extending to an upper level over the rear parking area and the shopping area?
So that was a part of the architectural feasibility study. However, we have not included that. We do not think that we could do anything near that with $13 million. So we are trying to be thoughtful with the money that we have and not overspend, of course, if anybody has a lot of money. But yeah, we don't think that we can do that at this point, so.
Just a plug for, it, but if you want to read the feasibility study that goes over the details, the links are in the FAQ. And it takes you to the PDF, including Marian Abel's great report.
Is there any public comment while the microphone is down that way? No?
Thank you to Julie here for doing this. I know you worked really hard and utilized our pods to work on this for many, many hours. So I do appreciate it. The FAQs, I told Pierre I love them. It's just amazing and great to have. And we look forward to seeing what will be done. Thank you.
We did utilize those pods.
Oh, I do also want to say what a good job. No, really comprehensive.
I can't hear you, Freddie. Is it on?
I think it's.
Unusual. No, I just wanted to say that I thought it was an excellent job, very comprehensive, so want that on the record.
It really is good.
So am I right in concluding that there's no more discussion? So we need to vote on this, right? Does somebody wish to propose a motion? We move forward.
I move that we approve this and move forward with this proposal. Is that a proper motion?
You
More or
can
less.
move to approve the presentation and associated recommendations from the potential, if you want to read directly from the agenda. An agenda item number 2.
I think it's perfect.
Oh, okay.
I move that we approve the potential improvements to the library ad hoc committee's proposal.
So how about this, a friendly amendment? Approve the presentation and associated recommendations from the potential improvements to the library subcommittee that will be presented to city council.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, is it her move? Does she move? Did she move?
It was Commissioner Carter's move, seconded by Commissioner Crane.
Aye. Yes.
Chair Fawcett. Vice Chair Bedard.
Aye.
Commissioner Morris.
Yes, approved.
Commissioner Carter. Commissioner Crane.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, so moving on, next item on the agenda is the Library Commission work plan. I think Anthony, is there a report for the item? I think Anthony put together a
Yeah.
draft work plan, right?
So. I'm getting my steps in. You can figure out, I'll start looking into some better ways so we don't have to. Presented to, is a draft work plan, that I put together. It's largely, I'll zoom in. It's built upon the previous work plan that was done by the commission. But obviously I put in components of items that are been discussed tonight, items that are on future agenda items, and items that I think fit well for the commission based upon the powers and duties that were recently adopted by city council. So you can see the goals overall are to improve infrastructure, increase awareness, and enhance partnerships. And then there's projects within each of those that the commission can focus on. And then the priority source for infrastructure, focusing on asset management, which is a priority of city council. awareness and partnerships, which are both within the powers and duties of the Library Commission. And this work plan is really to supplement the normal powers and duties of the commission that can be brought up at any time. And the goal is that this would be presented by the commission during the joint meeting with the city council, which is scheduled for February 27th, 2024. So please mark that on your calendar. That will be the Library Commission and the city council. So all of the Library Commission will hopefully be in attendance, and you can present work plan
What date is that again?
February 27th, 2024. And so that's why staff wanted to come forward with at least a draft for the commission tonight. So that way you could discuss, provide any recommended edits, and then we can hopefully have it approved for tonight in preparation for that meeting in February. And that's the presentation. I think it's public comment now, or questions from the commission if you have any for me.
Assuming we need to flush out the details of this a little bit. Okay. Anybody want to start the discussion here?
Sorry.
You want to check for public comment?
Oh, first?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm sorry.
Weird. No, that's okay. So these are the projects, and so the projects that, so for example, improvements to main library building, it would then be left to a subcommittee like we did to figure out what that meant. But these are the general ideas, like the host community events library, I've always talked about sort of a night at the library. So a subcommittee could come together around that theme and come up with ideas. Okay.
What did you have me this for?
Oh, you want to say something, or Pierre wants to say?
You know, I want to say something. Looks good. I mean, the details, this is open-ended enough that it allows us to do what we need to do when we need to do it, which is what we need to do. So I like it. You're gonna talk, do you like it or not?
Okay. It was February 21st, right?
27th.
7th, okay, yeah.
Should be a Tuesday.
And can I ask, we can make changes and additions?
So this is a draft presented by staff that the commission can add any changes, add additional projects, add additional goals. I just created a framework based upon previous work plans, based upon what I see upcoming on the agendas for
We will
library.
not meet before the,
That's why. I'm not understanding how this is enough detail, given that we will not meet for another 2 months, and, you know, we can only, you know, we're gonna form a subcommittee to do anything, we need to do it now, and there's only 2 people, and we need to have some detailed plans for some of these things, don't we? Like hosting community events at the library or whatever. You need to at least put names on these items, and do we not? Like,
So it's up to the discretion of the up to the discretion of the commission, how you wanna divide and conquer the projects. I think in years past, the commission hasn't had the limit on ad hoc subcommittees, so previous work plans had had commissioners assigned to each of them. Moving forward, that won't necessarily be the case. This would be your work plan, and then as Commissioner Crane mentioned, you would be picking individuals depending on what are the priorities for the next couple months to work on a certain ad hoc subcommittee focused on specific projects, and then it would come forward to the commission as a whole. You would make a recommendation, ideally accept whatever those recommendations are, and then move forward with another one depending on where you want it to go moving forward.
do we not need to do some of that now?
So it's up to the commission how you'd like to structure the document anyway. So
My thought on this, okay, if you look at the way we did it with subcommittees was sort of a misnomer before, because it really was grouping around different areas, be it infrastructure, be it awareness, be it whatever. With 5 people, it becomes a lot more problematic. I think if you look at this work plan, enhanced partnerships, we do that, right? I mean, I think, has everybody been identified as a liaison? Everybody's liaising with somebody, Michelle, is it? So each of us should have somebody we liaise with, like I'm FOL.
So we should target what we're interested in? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Well, I'm interested in parking and the driveway.
Yeah,
Anybody
Mhm.
wants to work with me on that?
Mhm.
I call it the driveway. That's what it is.
So I agree with what Pierre says. So improvements to main library building, we already have a subcommittee that's working on that, and that's Pierre and I. So to my knowledge, we can only have one other subcommittee. So 2 people can work on one other item that's on there. However, we can have individual commissioners. So, right, I'm a member of a subcommittee, but I could choose to say, I want to research new services and programs for the library. And so then I could take on that assignment for 2 months and bring back recommendations and thoughts for discussion and get the commission feedback. And I think that may be the way to go. But I agree, we've got improvements to the main library building. Pierre and I are doing that. We can't get on it either. Pierre and I are done for right now for committees. We've identified liaisons. We could do that tonight, and we do have one other opportunity. I don't know that I think I'm NCLA, your friends.
I have Lally and the patio.
Okay, Lolly and the patio, and so then we have, we have other opportunities. And then, we can take on other issues. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
But it's important,
Yes, but I do agree that, it is a lot for all of us to do it by February, so I think we have to prioritize which ones we're doing, and then identify which one is like high level of efforts versus like low level of efforts, because I think some of it is really high, like what you guys did was a very thorough, comprehensive thing, but if it's like something like, I don't know, improve the commission's web presence, coming up with events, that could be a little bit more lighter, so.
And I think for the work plan, just as a note, I don't think you necessarily need to have it completely flushed out by the February meeting of like, minutia detail of what community events you're gonna be hosting, how exactly you're gonna solve the web presence.
So we need to put some names to things now, otherwise nothing's going to happen between now and February. I wanted to ask Rose about services. A while back, you asked us if we would look into charging stations. Is that kind of a high priority there? If you have other services with a high priority?
So yes, the charging stations is part of our strategic plan. We have action items from the strategic plan. But that one we're working on, and we're at the library level. But the one that actually is perfectly aligned right now with our strategic plan is the explore targeted outreach to seniors, youth, and general public. So I would love to work with 1 or 2 commissioners on this, and it would directly address our strategic plan, which we're working on right now, the action item.
Mm-hmm.
And I can talk loud. I was gonna say, that's a good point, that if you're doing something on your own, you can always have a partner in the library, hopefully Lolly, hopefully friends. We could at least solicit partners to help us who are interested.
I could take that unless somebody else strongly wants it.
I can do it as well, whichever, I don't know if you have any other subcommittees that you're already doing. I'm not doing anything right now, I'm happy to take on something.
No, the trouble is we can't call them subcommittees because we're only allowed to belong to one subcommittee. So
Okay.
To create for next meeting, we could, next meeting, it could come forward as an agenda item that there's the creation of a new ad hoc subcommittee focused on targeted outreach.
The trouble is, if you form another subcommittee, we've kind of maxed out on subcommittees already.
I imagine that this subcommittee that's existing once, or the improvements to the library subcommittee will probably present to city council before the next commission meeting. And then the commission could make a decision whether or not they need to continue as a subcommittee, and you could create a different one.
Okay, well, okay, so Michelle and I might be able to work together with Rose on that.
And staff can make an addition to this, saying, denoting that an ad hoc subcommittee may be of interest for that particular one.
Yeah, okay, but we don't have to wait until the ad hoc subcommittee is formed to actually talk to each other.
Any-
We do, then I'm just
Well,
trying to
two members
understand.
can talk, right?
I think you could talk to one another, you just wouldn't be able to provide any recommendations as an ad hoc subcommittee.
Got it, okay.
So that means that we won't have like a thorough recommendation by February, right? If we can't be official.
So February's meeting is really just to present this document or something like it to the city council and say, here's what we're working on and here's what we'd like to get done over the next year.
Okay.
So you have the entirety of 2024 to work on all of these goals.
Okay.
And so
And we are only allowed to have one subcommittee each, like, for example, I can only belong to one.
you can only belong to one, and because there's 5 members, you can only have 2 subcommittees and ad hoc subcommittees of 2 individuals each.
I see. So then is this the top priority then? Because I'm sorry to say. So is the targeted outreach to senior youth and general public, is that the top priority right now? Because we only have one more committee that we can, I'm sorry, the ad hoc committee that we can have, right? So I just want to make sure that we're using it for the most important strategic initiative.
And it's up to the commission's discretion. So the commission can, at future agenda items, you could say that you would like to have the creation of a new ad hoc subcommittee focused on one of these topics or a different topic if you wanted to.
Can we do 2 or 3, or it has to be just one? We have to pick one.
So it has to be the one because we already have the one ad hoc subcommittee.
You said this ad hoc subcommittee might possibly not continue beyond the February meeting. I mean, things might be changed, we don't know.
Well, and
Is it 2 at once? Or is it 2 of the year? Oh, well, okay,
We
so the
can't belong to more than one subcommittee.
concept is that the concept is simple here. Subcommittees are meant to last. And so we should, like, as soon as we can get out of doing, our report and done that, we reform into something else. On another note, here's how I view it myself. Like, improve the commission's web presence. I set up a WordPress site where the materials are. I did that myself. I wrote an article on, not GoGo Biblio, but the Book Dash, right? Things like that. I wrote something on naming rights. So you can take issues that are library issues and deal with them individually and present them to the commission for acceptance and distribution out there. And there's a lot of stuff that this commission's done over the years on all these topics that are out there.
yeah, so we can do individual work.
Okay.
And I think you can talk to another commission member. You can't talk to 3.
It has to be just one more.
Just one more. It has to be less than a quorum, right? If you're
2 people.
2 people for a subcommittee, I think if you're taking on, like, if I'm gonna do, any of those, the web presence, I could do it on my own. I think I could solicit feedback from another commission or commissioner during the course of my research to see, am I making sense? But I can't do 2 others because then, the idea is that that's a serial or a meeting.
But you're finished with your proposal.
We have to present,
Well, besides that.
and yes, yes.
But if you present, or you continue working on it?
I think he's saying that's up to the commission to decide whether they want to keep us in that role or we disband.
And I think it depends on the direction provided by city council.
Yeah, that's true too. So,
So once city council receives the presentation, then I think the ad hoc committee subcommittee members will report back to the commission. Here's what happened, and then you could make the determination as the commission whether it wants to continue or not.
and we could choose to have one person, much like we have one person, like Christine, you're working with the patio project. We could have one person, you know, if they have the architect, or I think I'm the NCLA liaison. Yeah, they could have one person, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
It's, yeah.
For example, if I work with, for example, like if you work with her, like would it be a commission or it's not? It's not a subcommittee.
Rose isn't on the commission, right?
Right, it's not a sub,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a subcommittee. But I do think because the county is such an important partner and we want to support their strategic plan, that if that is of interest to them, then I think we should take that under serious consideration.
So Rose, Michelle and I, we can proceed, we can meet with you and we don't have to wait until February to meet with you and discuss this. Okay.
Okay, sounds great. And then by February, do we need to have, we don't need to.
February is just a draft document similar to this, and someone on the commission, usually the chair, would. In February, the commission will present this document to the city council for feedback, and the council will be able to ask questions, you know. One of the questions would be, what does the county think are the big priorities for the year? And we received that answer tonight, and so you'll be able to say that. Ideally, I believe the chair would present kind of a brief overview of what's being presented, and then it would just be more of an informal conversation between the commission and the council.
I was just gonna say, can we work on the appearance of it, just to show that some things, no, I'm just saying, if we, to show that some things are in progress, like improvements to main library building, that is currently a standing subcommittee and that is in progress, and maybe asterisks. I mean, work with, we could, yeah, do something like that, like, 'cause I do wanna say that Anthony provided us with sort of the basic presentation, which we used for our presentation, which I think is very helpful if something's been successful, right? Use it, but I thought, yeah, if we could just show what's in progress, and like we use the asterisks to show what aligns with a county strategic priority. Things like that, just what's moving forward, what's, where it is, what's done, complete, in progress, that sort of thing.
I was going to ask something similar, say Michelle and I meet with Rose, we get some ideas on what we're working on. How does it work to update this? We send you. I mean, because obviously we can't pass this document around the commission for everyone to update. So we send you our updates and you perhaps tell us whether they're appropriate to actually add to the work plan or not.
So ideally tonight, the commission would approve some version of this work plan. And like I said,
We could have some names and things.
so I can make any edits if you want to. I already have the one of mention ad hoc subcommittee in parentheses, and I think to the main library building, I can put something about existing ad hoc subcommittee to make it clear that these are the two big ones that have the subcommittees currently. Ideally, we leave tonight's meeting with a work plan approved.
Okay, so you don't need to put names to anything here, just enough to say sort of ad hoc committee proposed, that kind of thing.
And I can't.
I think you're doing okay. Dangerous.
So I can't speak to the city council exactly what we're looking for, but I think this document does give the library commission good start when presenting the city council on all the items and then city council provide feedback and the commission can take that.
Well, I disagree with putting, the services piece should be under infrastructure. And it's certainly not, under city council asset management, only because services and programs comes from the county. So that's wrong at face value. I'm just saying, so.
I'm happy to put that. in
Just,
a
I would add under goal, improve services. I mean, this is my suggestion, I'm not sure it's, and then research new services and programs for the library, just as a one-line item. And in terms of priority source, what the hell would the priority source be? It's not city council asset management. County?
Powers and duties.
Okay. Anyway, that's minor, but there is a big difference between, I mean, the city owns a building, the county runs the services, that's one of those things.
So, is there any further discussion? Freddie, public?
I just think it's an important point to note that while the city owns the building, everything inside the building, including all the furniture and fixtures, comes from the district.
Yeah.
And that's a big distinction.
The only other suggestion is, it says improve the commission's web presence. Can we just say presence? And then whoever does it. Well, but I'm saying, yeah, because web could be one of, because web could be one of the ways, just think, because I'm thinking also too, we had talked about, I'm not a fan of pictures, but getting our pictures up there, advertising more about the commission so people are aware, and hopefully that attracts more people to the commission. So just maybe, yeah, make it a little bit broader so that there could be other things. I didn't think about it that way.
Is there any further discussion? Any more comments?
Well, to Julie's point with the presence, just thinking, sorry. To your point, Julie, we could also, for the library social media, we could promote the commissioners in that sense too. So there's many opportunities.
That's
in that
great.
sense.
That's a good point, yeah.
I wanted to say something.
We were actually closer when we started and we moved it back for more social distancing. Now I'm thinking we should have been closer.
If we do improve services, do we have to put like improve services and events or something like that? I feel like research new services programs for the library, also events come in that too. Or it's just a technicality, but I just thought that it might be a good bundle.
I was gonna ask what community events is separate from, yeah, so I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I just see it as the same kind of bucket.
Yeah, because one is about research and one is about host.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you do have to implement it after researching, so. I think that could be the same bucket together.
How do we identify liaisons? Can we vote on that tonight?
Last time.
Wait, but we have a new commission.
What, organizations don't have a liaison at this point?
So you have a liaison to the main library patio project task force, Friends of the Los Altos Library, NCLA. And that's it.
Yeah.
You do not have one for Lolly.
Yeah, no, I'm Lally. I took Lally because it goes with the patio. That was the idea.
Gotcha.
I
Yeah.
I can give one up if we need to.
It was the same motion, sorry. It was Lolly and the patio
Yeah.
task force.
I mean, I don't mind giving one up, but since Michelle has something, but it's just kind of logical they go together.
That would need to be a future agenda item.
Well, is there something particular to programs? Liaising on the programs or anything like that? No.
No, I don't think so, but, I would say as a new commissioner, you should go to all of the, I mean, not to, make your calendar too big, but I think you should go to Lolly, go to the Friends, just get to see everybody, and then you can come to NCLA, and then you can decide, perhaps where you would like to get more involved, yeah, rather than us throwing you into something.
How do I find out about the calendar of these events, like when?
The city doesn't have a comprehensive calendar of all the library events. I think, we can look at potentially trying to.
That would be a presence issue, right? So we can
That's a
send them.
web presence issue.
So we can send them to you, right? Because I'll make you aware of NCLA, because we can't all communicate, but NCLA, Friends, and
You can sign up for notices on NCLA.
Okay,
Friends is, contact me.
okay.
There's a meeting coming up, and on Lolly.
We're by invitation,
Okay, so.
so, I just have to remember to invite you.
Okay.
Otherwise, I guess I can,
Or you could.
because I get invited, right?
Right, the other thing is, the good thing is, because we have a public session and then an executive session. So, which you are only able to go to the public session, but we're just starting to do hybrid meetings.
Okay.
So you don't have to drive the meeting to spend 15 minutes there, which is good. So you can come by Zoom. That's starting, next Tuesday.
You have a meeting next Tuesday? Really?
Yeah, it's always the second Tuesday of the month.
Okay, it's Tuesday.
And I'm sharing on the
Yeah,
screen, sorry, I'm sharing on the screen, I've been making live updates based upon feedback, so you could actually see what has been discussed or proposed. And then you can make determination if there's any more edits you would like to see, or.
I think Michelle had said research new services, programs, and events for the library. I think so. Was that correct, Michelle?
Yes.
Services, programs,
Exactly,
and
and
events.
I mean, I'm okay with deleting web from the web presence, but that doesn't mean that the web presence isn't gonna be looked at under that. That's all
Yeah, for example,
for
what?
example.
Yeah. Do we need identify liaisons since we already have them?
We can remove that if we would like.
You have a first completed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, good idea.
Hey, done.
I like it.
We need a checkbox. No, I like that. No, that's.
And actually, ad hoc status, the ad hoc subcommittee, just say first phase complete or some. A little more than in progress,
Under status.
under status. I don't know what you'd say. It's a thought. I'm not saying change it.
Now it looks funky.
Microsoft thing.
Is there any further discussion, comments? Is something we're ready to take a
Well,
vote
I
on?
guess it's okay that, well, I don't need the microphone because you guys cannot hear. I guess it's okay if one of us just starts on one of these. So I'm gonna do that. Wanna help me with parking and
Sure.
driveway
Sure.
after you do your presentation? I have some ideas about
Perfect.
this.
Perfect. Can we also just highlight, or maybe, I don't know if you want to add a column or an asterisk about those things that align with the county strategic plan? Because I think the first one, the improvements to the main library building do, at least with respect to it being
Yes,
the entryway.
that's the most important.
Was there other ones that aligned with the strategic plan?
I would say the new services programs in a sense. What?
I wanted to suggest that we remove the word web for the community presence.
Yeah.
It could be not just website, it could be other things, like this business card, for example, is one, right? So it could be other methods too.
And I have it crossed out. So
Can you hear me? Sorry. I was just saying that I wanted to suggest remove the word web presence from improving committees. So hard for me to read from here. Commission's web presence, because commission's presence can be increased with other methods too, like business cards. And I don't know about my pictures, but like, we talked about putting pictures on the wall and things last time from what I remember. So that's another thing, right? Especially among the seniors, they might not be as savvy with websites, so that could be.
You redlined it.
You crossed it out.
Oh, he crossed it out. I'm so sorry.
No, that's good. No, that's good.
I can't see.
It's hard to see.
Well,
no worries.
I know, it's small. Can you increase this percentage? Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No, no,
Oh,
no, you did it. That was good.
Okay, now I see it.
Sorry. I'm,
It's not just me, right?
It's not just you.
is that better?
Yeah, I need new glasses.
We should be closer. I'm like, we should be closer.
And in the, if and when the commission is ready to make a motion, if you want to make a motion, you can say that you direct approval of it with the changes, and then you can say this permission for staff to make it look a little nicer, and I can clean it up. But if there's more edits, we can add all that. So.
I have one more thing to make clear before
I was
we,
gonna so move, but.
well, you can move after I make this clear, but the one thing I wanted to make clear is that I don't believe this is written in stone. I.e., right, it's a guideline. It's not a absolute law. So, we can make changes later, as things happen, obviously. So I'm not too wrapped up over it, but I like it. And I'll second whatever motion.
So now I have to remember what you said. So, I move that the commission adopts the revised work plan with further instruction to city staff to make improvements as needed.
I vote yes.
Chair Fawcett,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bedard,
Yes.
Commissioner Crane,
Yes.
Commissioner Carter, Commissioner Morris, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item on the agenda, library parking updates. Discuss current library parking layout, provide direction for proposed parking improvements. I think Anthony will present.
Sorry, it is 17 megabytes, so it takes a little bit of time. full screen.
I'm applying for it too.
Should have brought the printouts.
All right. Rose has a copy of the now. So,
Great, thank you.
So one of the items that city staff has been looking at is ways that we can improve parking and increase the supply of parking in certain areas. And so what's presented before the commission tonight is really a draft document created by staff to identify ways that we could improve the parking supply within the city center.
Wait a minute, I'm having trouble following you, because you're talking very softly. What is this red line?
So the red lines show 3 different areas that we're gonna zoom in on.
They show what?
3 different areas that we're gonna zoom in on. So area 1 is in the bottom, area 2 is in the middle, and then area 3 is up top. And we're gonna zoom in on each one, and it's gonna show the improvements for each area. So the red lines don't necessarily mean anything now, but then we're gonna zoom into them, kind of similar to the previous presentation, where there were the different subject areas with the different phases. And the goal for tonight is to receive feedback from the commission based on what you think of the improvements that are presented. And if there's anything you'd like the staff to look more at, if there's ideas that you have or any questions, I'm happy to answer them. So this is the first area. So let's give it a second. It's gonna focus on the bottom area, area number 1. So you can see right here on the far left, we're talking about gaining 1 space, utilize some landscaping area.
So the green is gaining spaces.
Green is additional spaces that are added, and red is existing spaces within the current conditions. So you can see that they're number 1 through 8 across the bottom of the screen, and they articulate where the spaces are going to be.
So there's 2 on the end.
This is to shut me up.
And so number 1, 2, and 3 do utilize the landscaping area. The 3 spaces here, 4, 5, 6, where I'm highlighting with my cursor, would go in the driveway to the existing parking right there. And then 7 and 8 on the far side are on an existing, it's compact.
Are the red ones going away?
No, so
Why are they in red?
they're in red to stand out over the trees. So the trees make it difficult to see really any other colors besides red and green. So the red does not indicate anything will be going away. In this
They are
particular-
parking places?
Yes, they're existing parking places. So you can see that our engineers tried to line up as well as they could for all of the parking spaces in red, and then the green is additional new spaces that will be added. And so this is 8 total parking stalls in area number 1. This section 7 and 8 right now is just compacted, like a, not dirt, but it's compacted sand, and there's a bike rack for the Bus Barn Theater, and so we could move this bike rack and put these two additional stalls here.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna collide.
Can I ask a question? It says 9 foot wide for the new ones. Is that different than what is existing?
9 foot wide should be the existing currently. So it would be the same, no additional spaces added or adjusted would go below 9 feet. So 9 feet would be the minimum size for all spaces that are being presented today.
Question. For number 1, did the engineer think about like backing up and like people entering in? Because I feel like every time I enter in there, it's such a narrow space, and it's also very quick. Like I have to think, oh, I'm turning, I have to turn here. And I'm just a little bit scared that like that person, if backs up, it might kind of hit the person going in.
And that was a consideration. So staff did talk with our engineers about what would make the most sense. They didn't feel that any more than one space would make sense for that exact reason that you're mentioning. That one space was, they felt comfortable with that. The one thing noted is that this, if you look at where my cursor is right now, this is, city-owned land right here, landscaping, that's kind of high. And so, city staff has identified that maybe we could prune down some of that plantage, images or landscaping, in order to make sure that visibility is good as coming into that. And then for here, obviously this car would come out and only be able to go this way.
Yes. That was my only concern for looking at this.
And these are, like I said, right now, these are all conceptual ideas. We just wanted to get the feedback of the commission, which I appreciate hearing that.
And just to be clear, just to be transparent, is that the 4, 5, and 6, they're covering the entrance to that current, so we would be losing all of those parking spaces.
Correct.
Right.
So this would, in this scenario, if we were to lose these parking spaces, 4, 5, and 6 would replace that driveway and that little bit of landscaping next to this ball next to.
But let's see what else.
One more question.
Yes.
What about the trees? Are they getting, they're gonna be left as is, or?
So that's a great question. I appreciate you asking. I'm gonna pull up, after the presentation, Google Maps to show. The trees actually run along right here. So they're past the end of the front of the parking stalls. So the trees won't be impacted by any of the additional stalls that are being added right now in this plan. So all those trees would stay intact, right here. And I can show that on Google Maps. You can see the clear view that pretty much the line of trees goes along the front of the parking stalls.
So no nature is basically getting compromised here.
We would lose a couple landscaping areas, which is, low level plants. It's nothing that would, no, I don't see.
Heard the jokes.
But yeah, California natives, I guess.
Yeah.
And so this is area number 2. So when sorry, Pierce.
Sorry to interrupt, but did you present this same thing in your public meetings, essentially? I'm just asking, these charts, or is this different, or is this post your public informational meetings?
So these were done internally in December, and this is, I think, the first time that they're going out to the public because it's a library parking improvement. And so we wanted to get feedback from the library commission.
Sorry, I thought it'd already been out there. Oh, okay.
So
I'm
these
confused.
drawings that you're seeing were done by our team at the city, and they were created solely for this discussion.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
and then right here, this is the back side of the library. This is the history museum. You can see that there's a section right here next to the concrete pathway that runs along across to the dirt path over here. City staff is recommending adding number 9 for the parking stall right here. This is stalls 10 through 29. Here you can see Los Altos Youth Center, Los Altos Police Department, and you can see the stalls here. We measured, it's 180 feet with 9-foot stalls, so it's consistent with the previous stalls. This parking would be focused on staff parking, so this would be designated ideally in this scenario as staff parking, where library staff could park, and this would basically allow them to park there all day without having to worry about moving their cars. Because in this plan, sorry, I'm going back. Area number 2 would all be consistent parking hours with the existing parking hours. That's in area number 1. So area number 1, you can see all of these, and area number 2 would both be timed parking that's limited for patrons of the library. So it would increase the turnover of the vehicles, and that way, as people are coming into the library, they spend the amount of time they need to within the library, and then they would move on. And then this would be designated, as staff parking in number 3.
And again, no trees are impacted, right?
I don't believe so, no.
So we lose 16.
And they're getting 6.
Are you impacting the shed
So in this,
by 6:15 and 16?
yes, so in this scenario, we would work with the Friends to adjust the shed location. We wouldn't be suggesting removing it. We would just move it within the actual space right there and hopefully be able to accommodate it within the similar area.
Can you explain the shed for our new member?
Oh, yes, the shed is where, the Friends of the Library put the, sort books, and they're put in boxes and then kept in the shed until the sale. And then they're all categorized and sorted, and then they take the boxes and set up. So there are 2 sheds. There's one big one there and one big one and one small.
That looks like it's going to completely block off where Friends has their donations drop off twice a week.
Yes,
So it's not just a question of relocating the sheds, but finding a place where we can actually have books dropped off.
And I think we could, look at potential, sorry.
I mean, it needs to be curbside, you know, people wanna drive out, drop off the
What
books,
does
and
it
hopefully
look-
close to the shed.
What does it look like now?
Somewhere around about here, we have a sign, you know, you pull over and it may not be legal to park, but we do, you know, people stop and we set up a couple of tables, not, okay, it's closer to here, it's away from the
Fine,
police
13.
department. Yeah, that makes sense, yeah, because, it's between the sheds. So, yeah, it would be right here, we set up a little sign and put tables out and,
The block off 2 parking spots, they could drive right up there.
but just 2 wouldn't be enough. People have to be able to pull over and drop off curbside. I don't think 2 spots that way is gonna be enough for that. You know, sometimes we get 3, 4 cars backed up. I mean, it's not gonna
I
work.
think that may be a different issue to review how the function of that space would work, because I know having a drop off there creates a pinch point. And obviously, with or without this happening, these additional stalls, that pinch point would happen. And so it's something we would want to avoid, trying to figure out how we could, assist in, you know, in area number 2, I'm going back. These parking stalls are still here and available where people could park here. And even here, it's 2-hour parking, so people could pull in here and bring their books to the drop-off area, and it would be 2-hour parking.
no, it doesn't work that way. And I apologize, but they do require a pull-up, you know, where they can drop off, because we're talking books, boxes, huge, you know, people clearing out stuff.
And is that a regular, it's a.
Yeah.
Twice a week.
Twice a week.
Twice a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays, 1 o'clock.
If somebody has a lot of boxes, then we'll have them drive around to the fire entrance or exit. You know, where the Biblio parks and somebody will help them, they'll unload there and we'll take them straight in, but, mostly people are pulling up curbside and dropping off, yeah, and you have to be able to get to the trunk.
I'm open to any ideas or suggestions here, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't like it, and I'll tell you why. When I can't find parking, which is usually whenever a city council member isn't on the premises, because shockingly, when the city council member is here, they can always find parking. But when I can't find parking, I drive over to the Civic Center lot. And what you're doing by putting the parking in here is another pinch point to the whole Civic Center plaza. So I think that needs to be looked at. It's bad enough coming in on number 1. I mean, I've got a severe eye injury where I don't have depth perception, and it's a thrill ride to see, you know, the random Tesla come at me, wondering if they're going to take out a mirror. Right there, either coming in, out. You also have big trucks coming, you know, people with SUVs parking, which is, you know,
With the little kids.
yes. But,
running every which way.
but anyway, that's, I mean, you wanted comments. I don't like well, beyond the Friends stuff, which is one thing, and we could always accommodate that by shutting down parking. I think, right, you just shut down you just
If they're angled that way, I don't think four's gonna do it.
you just shut it down.
Like this, like shut 3 or 4 of them off and
Yeah.
let them drive in like that, park side, parallel to the curb. Put their thing out and then go off.
Yeah.
That would work for the Friends.
So first of all, thank you. I think that the parking has been a big issue for our patrons. And so thank you for taking a look at this and presenting it to us first. That's, I really appreciate that. I think and we entertained this before, there was a previous commissioner who thought that we should have this one-way entry to cut down on the cross traffic. So I think I would ask the city to consider that, to make this just an in only, for that reason. I actually, when you talk about the spaces in front of the police department, I like the idea of that personally, because I do think that staff needs a space to park. I think staff, we have, how many staff do we have every day? About 20, and so and I don't know where they're parking, but I assume some of them are parking close to the entrance, right? Which, which is gonna take space away from patrons. So I do think, respectfully, giving them a place to park that is a little bit farther away, given that they will stay there virtually all day. I think, right, they're fine with that. I think it would reduce the pinch point, because I don't think you're gonna have the cars going in and out. So I think that's good. And I think that we could explore other places. I'm actually now wondering if we should have a drop box for the Friends, so that people could drop things off in a box like they do for the library. Well, just,
Trouble is that people have the sheer volume,
well, people need to, we need to be open to what we can do, right? And be open to change is going to be my continuous request. So, but I do think that, and if that doesn't work, then we can look at maybe not having those spaces available, but I do think we need to look at perhaps doing things differently so that we can address some of the parking, because if you're gonna get rid of all the spaces in that one space, this, in essence, what is the net loss gainer?
I don't know the exact number on that parking, but I do think with all of this, we're well net positive,
Okay.
because we'd move the staff parking that currently exists into this dedicated staff parking. Add all of these stalls, I think we would come out positive on parking. That would be the goal.
So I think that that's a positive.
Can I add that,
Of course.
if we're talking about alternative solutions, I mean, ideally, at the donations drop-off needs to be where the sheds are. Because, we have stuff in there that we need, we have boxes in there, we have tables and the hand carts, and so we really need to know where the sheds are going and then kind of figure it out from there, I think.
I think that makes sense. Throw it. We need a lighter one.
Thank you. This will be public comment. There's one issue that everybody just isn't addressing that I think is the biggest issue. All those parking places you see there, those are going to be in competition by all the people who come to use the dog park and don't walk their dogs to the dog park. So we need the extra spaces, absolutely, we do. But is there, I don't know, is there anything that is going to say that those are reserved for library patrons? And even if there is zoning at each of those parking spots that say that these are reserved for library patrons, how feasible is it that that would be enforced?
Answer all those. I don't know about signage that could indicate specifically for library patrons only, and it's tough to speculate on what the design of whatever will happen here looks like. I believe in this scenario, you know, we would do every intention with the limited parking on the time that individuals will be for the library, be visiting the library. We could look at putting something up if that's something that the commission wanted to. I don't know how we would enforce. That's the one challenge of, you know, someone who comes in and they park there and they're going somewhere else, you know. I think even, you know, someone parks here and they're taking their kid to the bus barn for an afternoon class, you know, there's nothing precluding them from doing so in a lot of ways, so I'm not sure. We can look into it. We can look into options.
Okay. So the other thing that we've talked about is those two drop off, there's the 1 minute drop off, people don't use it for that. So I would also ask that those be made into actual parking spaces. And again, we're talking about a renovation of the sort of the lobby of the library, the front library. There's also that line of trees that could be taken out and spaces added there. Certainly spaces, I think, for people who are you have handicap parking to be right in front of the libraries, and so that they would have direct access to the building. And I think that would only be if you could have that one way, but I think removing that would be another opportunity.
Yeah. So we're rejecting this, right? No, that's a good idea.
I don't know if I have a solution, but I'm just highlighting, like, for example, the green parts like 2, 3. I think if you, I'm just kind of, it's hard to explain, but like, you know how like there is the handicap, 2 handicaps, and then there's like a 15-minute drop off, right? Like the 2 other cars that's in the front. I think it's like 15-minute drop off for books return.
1 minute.
1 minute. Oh, sorry.
And we as a commission have created a drop box, so I don't know why we still need that. And people don't use it for that. Anyway.
Yeah, I've seen people park it for more than 1 minute, but like, is that gonna be like really crowded? Like, so for example, like if you have space 2 and 3, and then there are cars coming from this way and the other way, and then there's that parking over there, like, it's just gonna be very crowded in that space, because if you don't have parking in 2, 3, it's easier to kind of pull out, but like, I think it's just gonna be like very crowded, is what I'm trying to say.
Do you think it would be as crowded if we only had, if it was only entrance?
Yeah, that could be, like, I liked your idea about it, I'm just kind of, yeah, like, that'll be much easier, but I'm just wondering is that something that we can implement? Because then you have to go around a lot.
Gabe has talked about that. Gabe England has talked about that as a possibility. And taking out those trees in front.
So, the challenge with one way, and I don't think anything that's presented here, it's an important note, anything that's presented here would not change if this was a one way. So these improvements can be done and then one way can be evaluated. The one challenge with the one-way solution is that you're pushing all the cars in and then there would just be 2 exit points. So you'd send everyone to City Hall or you'd send them towards the community center. And so when we're doing that, what I've heard from our traffic engineers, because as we all know, I'm not a traffic engineer, if we do that, then we need to do a study on how that would impact the arterial exits. So right now we have 4 exits and 4 entrances. So if we go down, if we make this a one-way, we would have 3 or 4 entrances and 3 exits. And if we did that, then we would need to reevaluate and take a look at what the traffic patterns caused by doing that would be. So all of these parking adjustments could be done. And then an evaluation could be done looking at traffic.
Are they including the civic center in the current, parking and traffic study the city's doing? Or the city's doing a parking study?
I believe it's all of downtown. I'm not sure. I don't believe the Civic Center is included, but I can check. I will say,
I thought there's supposed to be a citywide parking study for the housing element.
and I'll check on both of them. I'm not sure. I did want to note, I did forget, and I did want to note that there is a number of visitor parking stalls right here for City Hall. And with any improvements to this frontage, you know, this would become visitor parking as well, as more folks would be coming into the library through this side of the library. So, moving forward, an important consideration is that folks will be using ideally both entrances to the library, and I think the gate counts have shown that people come in from both sides, and so, this parking is definitely usable as a library solution for parking as well.
Patio going.
I'm not an engineer, but what about if we get rid of the left turn? Do you know how there's like left turn and right turn?
Hmm.
And it's so tight because there's a designated area for left turn and designated area for right turn. So can we just like not have the left turn? Because I mean, that left turn is pretty challenging anyway, because you have to go across that San Antonio, right?
And this is where I would defer to traffic engineers to say what potential options could be looked at.
Yeah, it's like this one here, like get rid of it, or get rid of the left turn, or consolidate and just be like, this is right and left, and I don't know. Or just completely get rid of the left and then people have to.
And as much as, I think it's important to remember this is a conceptual draft. So as we're looking through this, looking at it at a high level of what are things that you would like us to look at and continue to evaluate, and we could go explore. So we can go from there.
I was just gonna say, it seems to me that we've gone beyond the level of, we're supposed to be discussing the parking update, and going into all these details of traffic. Keep us here all night, and it seems beyond the item on the agenda.
I think staff also received a significant amount of feedback and direction that staff can then take a look at these solutions, and then we can continue evaluating our options. No, it's okay.
I do recall, I mean, I haven't said that, hearing one meeting, it was this same issue of one way was brought up, and apparently it was considered some years back, and they felt that going to a one-way traffic flow would increase speeds, so that was the downside. Are we, is there any further discussion?
This item was just to provide direction, and so staff has gotten direction, and we'll go back to continue looking, and I think there's some ideas and concepts and elements that we hadn't considered that we'll take a look at in this proposal.
So we can move on to the next item on the agenda. Next item is Friends update. Do we have a Friends update?
Yes, we do. And, hold on. So, the main thing, let me just bring my. But someone sent me a Friends update. Thank you, Christine. The fundraising's going very well. The book sales are back up to 2019 levels. Amazon sales are going well, ongoing as well. They need a lot of volunteers. So if you guys want to volunteer for the Friends, Michelle, please do. We have a meeting coming up, I believe, on the 18th. It's the 18th? Yeah. That's it.
Thursday afternoon.
Oh, one more thing. I'm now volunteering for the Friends, Anthony. So I am actually shoveling books into those, back through your new parking, Anthony. And that's something that we need to, make sure that we still can do collections and have the sheds together. I'm learning, the thing about the Friends, and Christine's done it quite a while. They just, you learn a lot volunteering, and it's an amazing organization just from the execution standpoint. The fact that they can go through, insert books, and recycle them for the city, and earn money for hopefully our upcoming remodel.
Any comments or questions? Yeah.
I had just wanted to make one comment. I understand the Friends mostly need volunteers who can, pick things up, like that are able to do what you're doing here. And so it would be nice if the Friends had any other opportunities that didn't require that kind of physical labor.
Oh, yeah.
If they could make that,
Absolutely. It's just that recently we've had a critical need for people who could move the boxes. That's why we've been pushing it. But yeah, if you can hold a scanner phone, and if you can you don't have to be able to lift a box at all. We have pricers who use carts
okay,
to
because
include.
I was looking at, and I was like, oh, I don't know what I could qualify for.
No, well, we've just been pushing that because we had a desperate need for box movers, the guys are getting older and, they're not such help. You get the idea. We really appreciate Pierre coming forward. It's been a big help.
Okay, that's good to know that, okay.
And if you need help finding a volunteer coordinator,
I have her email, I just was like.
All right, are we ready to move on? NCLA, do we have an update?
No, we haven't, so,
Okay.
we haven't met since we formed the ad hoc committee.
Okay, can we move on to the, Lally update, Freddie?
Yes, Lolly has, several meetings, Christina's met with, oh, never mind, let me get that, I'm sorry. Sorry. Lolly meets regularly, and we've had our January meeting where we elected new officers, and I was honored to be elected president. Suresh Shivmonkhan is the treasurer, and Jason May is the new secretary. And we have a Silicon Valley Reads sponsorship, and that's coming up February 2nd. And so we are organizing around our volunteer efforts to help host that. We'll be at the Orchard Room at the library, and advertising is going out shortly. We are also working, as you know, on the library courtyard. We have renamed it the library courtyard. We think courtyard probably better captures how it will be used. I don't think there'll be many barbecue events out there. So we've been working closely with Gabe and with Nick Storms in particular to, it's a project that, we work in concert with the district and Lolly, the architect. We were fortunate to go before the council on November 28th. And Anthony, if you wouldn't mind putting up the first rendering. We submitted a proposal, a conceptual drawing for the council's consideration. And this is the conceptual drawing that shows on the left side, there's a teaching area that would have a capacity of just over 100. And then on the left side, there are reading nooks that people can just sit, relax, read. There's Wi-Fi capabilities. There would be outlets for electrical outlets. And this is the concept that was approved by the city council for us to go forward. And again, it is a concept. It's not a construction drawing, and once we finalize collectively what the library wants to do, then construction drawings will be produced, and then someone will apply for a permit. It's an interesting situation since the city owns the land. It's going to be who's applying for the permit. Gabe is still deciding. However, as is probably well known by everybody in this room, there are some people who were not happy with the fact that some of the tree sites were lost in this design.
They were relocated.
They would be relocated. There are no trees here. I mean, if you just go out there, you can see that they have the, I think it's fair to call it experimental irrigation. They are trying this new irrigation system to see if it works. And there are sites for trees that they've staked out and that they've put their drip irrigation. So a lot of angst over the lost tree site. So we talked about this, Lolly, the library district, and we decided to make a compromise offer. And Anthony, if you will show the second slide. This slide has a lot less detail, but it has the same space for the teaching area. It has half the storage that the other one did. And it has the reading nooks, but they are narrower. And so with this compromise concept, none of the tree sites have been lost. So all of the tree sites are there. And yet the library, the square footage goes from essentially about 4,000 to 5,000 to 4,000. 3,000 of the square footage is in the teaching area. The reading nooks make up 1,000. And so this is what we are now, presenting to the History Museum and the Orchard Commons Committee for their comments. And that will be done shortly. And then we will see where we're at. This is being done in an effort to avoid a lot of time-consuming we get it. So anyway,
And you don't have to touch the trees and stuff like that with it.
this one does not touch the tree sites.
Yeah, there's no trees.
There's no trees, not yet. They have ordered 300 trees. And there's no definite time yet to plant them. The trees, I believe, Manny said they're coming in January, I believe. That's my understanding, is the trees will be delivered in January.
And that's what the $250,000 was used for?
No, the city funded them for $225,000 for a 3-year program to restore the orchard. So that's maintenance, taking care of the trees, planting the trees, etc. They had a $75,000. They also had $75,000 that was given to them by either a grant to work on that drip irrigation project.
That's the $250,000. That's the $250,000 I was referring to, is for the.
The 225 for the, yeah, that's a 3-year period.
Mhm.
But, anyway, we also, I mean, there were some other changes that were made just from feedback, by the city council and others, and that we're changing the fencing material, but we don't know to what yet. The architect will choose something that no matter what angle you stand at, you'll be able to see, you'll have a full-on view of the orchard. So, that will be an improvement.
And so the orchard is only gonna grow non-native plants, right? It's an orchard of apricot trees.
It's all apricot trees, Blenheim apricot
No,
trees.
no native plants, okay. And water consumption.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, any questions? No. Thank you. Oh,
Is this gonna be sent out to us, or is this what we get? Cause it's not in the
this
materials.
is just, this is all we're gonna do, is just show you.
Oh, okay, so we're not making any decisions here.
There are, no, there's no decisions to be made yet.
I mean, this would have to be a part of the minutes, so, yeah.
It's presented.
Yeah, so we can include it, but no action taken by the commission.
Okay, are we ready to move on to the next item on the agenda? Great, that's the staff reports. County district update.
All right, everyone, good evening. So happy New Year. Here we are in 2024. And the beginning of the year is a busy time for us. So I hope you have a chance to review the report in front of you. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. And Freddie just pointed out, Silicon Valley Reads has begun. Greener Tomorrow Starts Today is this year's theme. It is really focused upon sustainability. It has a number of wonderful books, and it will provide programming throughout the county that really is a call to action. So I encourage you, obviously go February 2nd, but to many of the events throughout the county. Our kickoff will be held on January 31st at 7 p.m. at the Nyanza. And this year, it will both be in person and live streamed. So please visit the county library website where you can sign up and make sure you get your Zoom link, or you can save your seat. We usually have a very good turnout for those. So we have 4 of the authors who will be with us that night. We're very excited. Additionally, not far after, on Saturday, February 3rd, is our annual forum. I hope all of you have received an invitation to that. Michelle, you may not have yet, so I think, okay, oh, you did.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make sure and add you. There's always a change in things at the beginning of the year. So this is a chance really for us to bring together the friends, you know, all of the commissions, the foundations, really just all of you who we appreciate so much, and tell you about things that are happening at the library, and most especially as we move into this year and the renovation of our play spaces within our children's rooms. It's really about education and engagement. And so we have a speaker coming to us, Jed Dearberry, who's actually worked with another professor, and it's about play for everyone. So it's really about how you can add joy into your life. So it doesn't matter if you have little ones in your life or not, play is for everybody. So Play and Discover is our theme for this year's forum. It'll start about 8:30 in the morning and then end around lunchtime. So please RSVP for that event if you haven't had a chance to do so. We're looking forward to seeing you there. The other thing I always love to highlight at the beginning of the year is our literacy program. And so we do have our English language learning, our ESL conversation clubs, our career online high school, and the reading program. So whether you're looking for something to volunteer, to contribute back to your community, or you know someone who might benefit from those programs, please check it out. We're always happy to educate more people about the wonderful things that the library can provide. And that is all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Just a plug for all the commissioners for the show in February.
Thank you.
That's all. It's well worth it.
Good evening, everyone. The first thing I would like to highlight is, I'm very proud to announce that we actually have added our story to our story times. So now we do offer a variety of story times, coming back from, the pandemic. We, started off with the family story time, but now we do have expanded to include preschool, toddler, baby, and bilingual story times. The story times bring in a lot of people, and so we're excited to be able to increase our gate count and increase the number of people checking out books and using our libraries. So that's our schedule for now. The next thing is some of our stats, and you can go ahead and scroll through. Nothing too exciting, but I did want to point out the patrons in person, as Pierre had referenced to, but just looking from November 2022 to November 2023, the patrons in person went up 14% for Los Altos. I didn't calculate for Woodland, but it also significantly went up there. And so we are seeing that the library is busier and more people are checking out books, using our online resources, and just coming to the library. The next thing, some of the programs. We do have the World Affairs January 3rd, California Native Plant Society, January 12th, Going Fabulous Citrus, January 17th. This isn't all the programs, just picked a few, but more of them, or all the programs are at scclg.org/events. And then for children's, in addition to the story time, the next slide, we do have our book clubs, for all ages, and Chamber Music by the Bay is a annual program that we've had for many years. They're excellent. So we will have them on January 10th, and Lolly does sponsor our Science Saturday program. And so this is an ongoing program that we have once a month. And so that's the theme for January is electrical conductivity. Moving on, this is a previous GGB visit we had with at Avant, and this person emailed me personally to just thank me. They were their resident about the wonderful visit, and we're scheduling future visits with them. So I just wanted to share this personal note. They're grateful that we went out there. And the next thing is Open Plus. It's been a year since we've had Open Plus, so thanks again to the commissioners for getting this program, the service at Woodland. We had a total of 333 people signed up for Open Plus in a year, and so we're looking forward to increasing that. We now have a video that our marketing team did create about Open Plus to open access, and the ad in the town crier for next week will be also highlighting that service again. And also thanks to Lolly for funding the first year of that. Chamber Music by the Bay, again, this is the flyer. And I also wanted to highlight, we've had the next one is a monthly program, which we have, next slide, I'm sorry. It's a monthly one that our staff work really hard on. It's a Sunday crafternoon. And so it's a family event. All ages are welcome. And so they have a really cool craft every month. They work hard to make it unique and exciting for all ages. So if you like crafts, try to attend. It's a nice event. And that's all I have.
Thank you. We just move on to next item.
Questions? One question on open access. Have you estimated what open access for the main library would be? If you have 333 signups at Woodland? Is that a factor?
We haven't estimated it, I don't know how we would estimate it, I guess. The marketing does send out an email, targeted to Los Altos, Woodland and Los Altos Hills residents monthly now about promoting open access, and that would continue if we were to have it here, but I don't know, I could check, I'm not sure how we would.
I
be
just
able to-
wondered if off the top of your head, you had estimated
Yeah,
what it might be.
probably more, but I don't know.
Yeah.
How much.
We can figure out the percentage, right? What percentage of
Yeah.
patrons? And then that's a great idea. It's another data point for our little presentation on Open Blast.
Any further comments? Are we ready to move on to the city staff update?
I wanted to quickly say the craft, I love it, like, we went for the Halloween, it was so cool, everybody was there, lots
Oh,
of
good.
people, and my kids loved it.
Oh, good, good.
I'll keep it short. You've heard enough from me today. Just a reminder, February 27th, 2024 is going to be the joint commission meeting with the city council with the library commission. Please be in attendance. I'll send out more information as we get closer. If you have any issues, just let me know.
What time?
I believe it's gonna be. I'll double check. I need to check. It'll be in the evening for sure. I don't know if it's gonna be. Typically, they do it in chunks, so we'll know exactly our time window, when we'll be, so. Any questions for me for city staff?
You'll let us know?
I'll ask now.
Okay.
I'll let you know the exact time. One second. Almost.
Moving on to next item, update on the library patio task force. I think we've had the update from Freddie, from what direction is needed. Does anyone feel the need to provide direction here for the staff of the patio? Okay, moving on then, request for future agenda items. Are there any requests for future agenda items?
If you'd like to create an ad hoc subcommittee, now would be the time that you could determine that you want that on a future agenda. item.
Oh, okay, okay.
I almost
Future
think,
agenda item, Matt, create an ad hoc
Yeah.
subcommittee for services and, programs and services, I think, and outreach.
For targeted outreach to seniors, youth, and general
Yeah.
public.
yeah, I'm just wondering if we should have something like that on every agenda, because if there's a possibility that Pierre and I are gonna disband at that meeting, then there would be an opportunity for an additional subcommittee. So I don't know what that looks like, but subcommittee formation, does it need to be specific?
I'll check with our city clerk if there's a standing item we could have. I know typically for action items, you really want to be as specific as possible to give people the opportunity to comment, but I'll
Yeah.
double check.
Yeah.
Maybe like discussion after the city council feedback or something like that, because then we would know.
Creation of subcommittee with respect to work plan,
Or just work plan discussion?
or vote. We need to agendize a vote if we're gonna, right? If we're gonna agendize it, anyway.
The trick for me with agenda items is to make them as general as possible so that as much can go into them as you need to go into. That's all.
Yeah, because if we have the opportunity to form two, we would need the agenda for both, because if not, we're just never gonna get anything done. Yeah,
And I'll check on what exactly the parameters are to make sure that we're in line with the rules.
Should there be a section here that is I mean, I don't see any update for individual commissioners. I mean, not that we need any.
You can add a section at the end of the agenda before adjournment that is a report out from
Yeah.
commissioners.
Because each of us may have individual things that come up, right, if we're not on a subcommittee.
And do we want to assign any individual tasks? Because we went through the list and we created one subcommittee, but some things we said we can maybe do individually. So just want to agree on like who's doing what. Do we need to agree today or is it going to be the next agenda?
I think if you'd like to, we could have, work plan assignments as a future agenda item, and that way you can.
Oh, yes,
think
then,
about it the task.
all of that can be, yeah, consolidated.
That would be good.
And I think if anybody like right now wants to say, I'm really interested in exploring this. Well, if I'm a person, can't I do it? Can't I say I'm gonna be doing this?
Well, it's not an agendized item for the discussion tonight. That's it.
I see it.
So right now, we're talking about future agenda items.
Okay, okay.
I don't mean to kill the thunder, but.
So you're saying like we can't make that kind of decision unless it's in the agenda?
Or you can't have a discussion unless it's an agenda.
I see.
What's the status of our previous requests?
Those, if you'd like to, you can identify ones that you'd like for the next meeting in addition to what you have now.
I mean, are we keeping the night at the library event, the web presence and the commission picture in libraries agenda item? Or that request? I'm just looking at the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
a-
stay?
So it's up to you. We can have a list of running future agenda items, and then I meet with Chair Fawcett and determine. For tonight's meeting, we felt it was pretty full with what we had, so we.
Yeah.
couldn't-
Yeah, it's fine.
Well, I think I put on some of those and I think they would go in the work plan, right? Like the night at the library was my idea. I thought that could be part of the events.
I'm just saying carry it over.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
Okay.
there's no harm in carrying it over as a
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
potential.
always take it out. You can't
Yeah,
add
you
it,
can
then you can
always-
take it out.
So the two I have for future agenda items, create an ad hoc subcommittee for targeted outreach to work with the county library, and then work plan assignments.
Could we add, because I think you were interested in the earphones thing that we did, if we could just agendize it so that we can discuss the proposal that we made.
What's the future agenda item? What was
Review
discussion on?
and discuss, I'd have to give you the language, review and discuss, I forget what we called that.
Sensory?
We had a report on it previously. Okay.
Two months out, is it?
I believe it's Mark.
Tech lending, noise canceling headphones.
Noise canceling headset proposal.
Yeah, I might have to.
And then the only thing to note is that the next meeting, should be March 7th. It'll be the first Thursday of March.
March 7th?
Yes.
Any more questions for agenda items? Any more motion to adjourn?
Seconded. I second.
Yes.
Just adjourn the meeting.
Oh.
Hi.